Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive in again. Today we're going to be tackling something super practical, something we can all use a little more of in our lives, right?
Absolutely.
We're talking about kindness, and specifically we're going to be unpacking Grace Unleashed Part 3, Clothed in Kindness,
Great title, by the way.
isn't it? I love it. It gets you thinking, right? And that's what we're here for, to really unpack what it looks like to actually live out these virtues, these qualities we see in Jesus.
It's not just about reading about them, right?
Exactly. It's about putting them on, like the title says, making them part of who we are, you know?
Like a favorite shirt you just want to wear all the time.
Yes, 100%. So the text starts off strong, saying that kindness, it's more than just doing nice things here and there.
It's a way of being.
Right. It's an attitude. It's a posture towards the world, towards others.
It's like the air you breathe, you know? It should just be a natural part of how you move through the world.
And that's challenging, right? Because we all have those moments where
Where kindness is the last thing on your mind.
exactly. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we go from, just reading about kindness to actually living it out? And the text brings up a story we've probably all heard before, right?
The Good Samaritan.
That's the one. Luke 10.25, 3D7, for those who want to look it up. But it's interesting, right? Because even though we know the story, it still feels relevant today. Like there's always something new to learn from it.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of these parables, right? They transcend time because they speak to something deeper in us.
Right. And one thing that always gets me about the Good Samaritan is how it challenges our preconceived notions of who our neighbor is.
Yes. It forces us to ask, who am I overlooking? Who am I choosing not to see?
Who's outside of my usual circle, you know? And I think that's so important for us to ask ourselves today because it's so easy to get caught up in our own little bubbles.
Our own routines, our own comfort zones.
Yeah. And sometimes the most profound acts of kindness happen when we step outside of those comfort zones, when we choose to see the needs of those around us, even if they're different from us, even if they're not in our immediate circle.
And it's not always about these grand gestures either, right?
Exactly. Sometimes it's just about the little things.
Holding the door open for someone, offering a listening ear, Those small acts of kindness, they can make a world of difference in someone's day.
They really can. And that actually reminds me of another point the text makes about humility. It says that true humility isn't about thinking less of yourself.
It's about thinking of yourself less.
Yes. It's about shifting our focus from ourselves to others.
And that's where things get tricky, right? Because our natural inclination is to want recognition for the good things we do.
Totally. And that could be a real stumbling block when it comes to serving others humbly. Like how do we navigate that tension between wanting to do good and also maybe subconsciously wanting a pat on the back for it?
It's a struggle, for sure. And that's why the text points us to the example of Jesus washing his disciples' feet.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one. John 23.117.
During that time, washing someone's feet, that was like the lowest of the low tasks.
You definitely wouldn't catch a king doing that, right?
Exactly. But Jesus, the King of Kings, he humbled himself and served his disciples in this incredibly tangible way.
And it wasn't just about the act itself, right? It was about what it represented, his willingness to serve, his love for his disciples, even to the point of, getting his hands dirty.
And I think that's such a powerful image for us today, especially as we think about leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It completely flips the script on what it means to lead.
It's not about power or status, it's about service.
It's about using your influence to lift others up, not to elevate yourself.
And that's true in every area of life, right? Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a boss, a friend, even just the member of your community.
Right. It's about asking ourselves, how can I serve those around me? How can I use my gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of others?
And that leads us to another virtue that the text highlights: gentleness. This one can be tough, especially when we're faced with difficult people or situations.
Yeah, it's easy to react defensively, to get caught up in the heat of the moment,
Right. Our instinct is often to fight fire with fire.
But the text presents gentleness as this unexpected source of strength.
Because it takes more strength to respond with grace than it does to react with anger.
So true. And you know what? It's interesting because when you think about Jesus, he was never harsh or judgmental, even when he was dealing with people who opposed him.
He always responded with compassion and understanding.
And that's what made his message so powerful, right? It wasn't about condemning people. It was about meeting them where they were at and offering them a different way.
Like his interaction with the woman accused of adultery in John 8:11.
Oh yeah, that's such a good example. I mean, here's this woman who's being dragged before everyone, condemned for her actions.
And instead of piling on, Jesus shows her compassion.
He reminds everyone that we're all sinners, that none of us are perfect.
And then he challenges her to turn away from her sin and live a new life.
It's just such a beautiful picture of grace and forgiveness.
And it's a good reminder for us, right? Because we're all quick to judge. We all have our moments where we fall short.
But when we choose gentleness, when we choose to respond with love and understanding, even when it's hard, that's when we truly reflect the heart of Jesus.
100%.
Now, before we wrap up, we have to talk about patience. Because this one can be a tough one, am I right?
Oh, yeah. Patience is definitely a virtue that's tested on a daily basis, it seems like.
Right. It's like you're stuck in traffic or your internet's down or you're waiting for that phone call and your patience is just, it's stretched thin.
And in those moments, it's easy to get frustrated, to give in to that sense of impatience.
But I love how the text frames patience as an active practice, not just this passive waiting game.
It's about choosing how we respond in those in-between spaces.
Yes. It's about trusting that God has a plan, even when we can't see it.
And that's where the story of Joseph comes in, right? Genesis 39:41.
Oh, man, talk about a test of patience. I mean, this guy went through the rummer.
Betrayal, false accusations, imprisonment, you name it.
But through it all, he never lost sight of God.
He never stopped believing that God was with him, even in the midst of his suffering.
And ultimately, God used Joseph's experiences to bring about something good, something far greater than he could have ever imagined.
And that's the thing about patience, right? It's not always easy. It often requires us to wait and to trust in God's timing, but it's always worth it in the end.
And, his story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest thing, and maybe the most important thing, is to just keep going, even when we don't see the finish line.
To keep trusting, to keep hoping, to keep believing that God is working everything together for our good.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. But I want to bring it back to the practical, because it's one thing to talk about these virtues, but how do we actually live them out in our everyday lives?
Right. I think the key is to be intentional.
Intentional.
Yes. We have to actively look for opportunities to show kindness, to serve others, to respond with gentleness, to practice patience.
So it's not just about these grand gestures. It's about the little things we do each day.
Exactly. It's about making a conscious effort to choose kindness in every interaction, every situation.
So, what would that look like, practically speaking?
Well, it could be as simple as smiling at a stranger, offering to help someone with their groceries, or choosing to respond with patience instead of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Those are great examples. And it's about being present, too, right? Really paying attention to those around us, noticing their needs and looking for ways to meet those needs.
Absolutely. Because sometimes the most profound acts of kindness happen in those ordinary moments.
And I think it's important to remember that embodying these virtues, it's a journey, not a destination.
It's a lifelong process of becoming more like Christ.
Exactly. We're not going to get it perfect overnight.
We're going to mess up. We're going to fall short. But that's okay.
As long as we keep getting back up, keep learning, keep growing.
And keep leaning on God's grace to help us along the way.
Because ultimately, it's His grace that empowers us to live out these virtues.
It's His love that transforms us from the inside out.
And it's His Spirit that enables us to reflect His character to the world.
So, as we go about our day, let's ask ourselves, what would it look like for me to put on kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience today?
And let's not be afraid to start small.
Because those small acts of kindness, those small choices to reflect God's character, they can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves.
And who knows, maybe, just maybe, we'll be the ones to plant a seed of kindness that blossoms into something beautiful in the lives of others.
Now, as we wrap up, here's something to chew on. The text calls us to be clothed in these virtues, Rhyme. So I'm curious, if you think of these virtues like actual garments, how do they fit? Are you comfortable? Do you feel constricted? Where do you need to loosen your grip and let grace flow a little more freely?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll be thinking about that all day. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
And remember, the journey to embodying these virtues, it starts today. So let's get to it.